Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Carmen and I am basically just someone who likes to sew her own clothes and likes to show you how to do it too. So in today's video, we are going to be doing some scrap busting. So as you may imagine, if you are a sewist, scraps can be a problem. For some reason, it is so hard to throw away scraps, even when they are like the tiniest scraps that you know you will never be able to use. At least for me, I just feel bad throwing them away. So that has led to a bit of an issue. I've been cleaning out my sewing room lately and trying to organize things and make things a little bit more functional for me so that I can see all my fabric and all my tools here. So I realized how many scraps I have as I was doing this cleaning. So I have here a large garbage bag full, but that is not all. I also have this whole bin full of scraps. Now, I really don't want to just go throw all this away right all at once. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to use all these scraps, and I think I've got an idea. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So here is what I'm thinking for my scrap busting project. I think I'm going to make this poof from Closet Core Patterns. It's a free pattern on their website, and I've seen some really cool versions on Instagram. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and try to make this poof with some of my denim scraps. I have a box of old jeans, and then I'm going to stuff it with as many of my fabric scraps as I can. So that's what I'm going to do. In order to download the pattern, I have to put in my email address. So this seems like a fair trade for my email. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my email and get this pattern. And then I will show you once I have it all printed out, and we'll get started on the project. Alright, so here is my pattern all printed out, so I'm going to put this together now. So to start, I'm just going to cut one short side and one long side on each of the papers with my scissors right along that border line, and then I'm going to tape them together, the corresponding pieces along those border edges, by overlapping an uncut edge on one paper with a cut edge on another paper. So that's what I'm doing here, and then once the pieces are taped together, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the pattern pieces, and then we will get to the sewing. So this is what I'm going to be making the outer part of my poof from, this box of old jeans, and I definitely am not going to be using all of them just in this project, but this is just a box of jeans that either don't fit, I don't like them, or they have holes in weird places, so I'm gonna use these for making my poof. Alright, so now I need to cut out all my pieces from my jeans. So I found that the best way to prepare the jeans for cutting out the pattern pieces was to cut all the way across the inseam of both legs, and then to also cut up the front and back crotch seams to basically just separate the two legs from each other so that then you can lay out each leg separately and maximize the amount of fabric that you have to work with in order to get especially those large half circle pieces. Next, I just cut 2 of the large half circle pieces, 12 of the triangle pieces, and 12 of the rectangle pieces out of my jeans. And I just made sure to pick jeans that were kind of different in color so that they weren't all like dark blue or all light blue, so that I had a good mix of colors. So I've got all my pieces cut out, and I've arranged the triangle pieces into kind of an order that I like. I just wanted to make sure that there weren't too many dark pieces or too many light pieces close to each other. And I also finished with my serger all 3 edges of all the triangle pieces, and on the rectangle pieces, I finished just the long edges of the rectangles. And to do those, to make it faster, as they recommend in the Closet Core blog post with the instructions, I did these all in one long chain, so they're all attached, and just fed them through my serger one after the other. And then I'm going to go ahead and just cut them apart now. And then the short sides will end up being finished later after we sew the rectangles together. Alright, so now it's time to start sewing this thing together. So I'm going to pair each of the triangles up right sides together with the triangle next to it so that I form 6 different pairs of triangles. And then I'm going to pin and sew the triangles together along the left-hand side. So I just want to make sure I'm consistent with which side I sew. And so I'm going to sew the left-hand side together on each of these pairs of triangles, and I'm only going to remove one pair at a time and then put it back so that I remember what order I had my triangles in. Next, I'm going to pair up 2 of my freshly sewn sets of triangles and sew them together along one edge. And I'm going to be leaving the other 2 sets unsewn. So I end up with 2 sets of 2 triangles and 2 sets of 4 triangles. So now we're going to form 2 halves of the circle by sewing one set of 2 triangles to the neighboring set of 4, and the same thing with the other one. And finally, to finish the top of the floor poof, I'm going to pin and sew the 2 halves of the circle together, right sides together along that straight edge. And that's going to form the full top of the poof with all the triangle pieces. And here is how it looks when it's done. So next we're going to move on to the bottom of the poof. So the bottom of the poof is made up of these 2 half circle pieces. So what I'm gonna do is just sew this black zipper into that center seam, the flat edges of the half circles. And the pattern calls for a 22-inch zipper. So if you have a 22-inch zipper, that would definitely be best. But I only had this zipper, which I believe was 20 or 21 inches, so it was a little bit short, and I ended up with a small opening on either side of the zipper, but it didn't really make a huge difference in the finished poof because it ends up being on the bottom and it's on the floor and you can't see it anyways. So if your zipper is a little bit short, that is okay, but if you are going to buy a zipper for it, I would go for a 22-inch zipper like the pattern says. Alright, so the zipper is in, here's how it looks, and the bottom of the poof is now done, so now it is time to move on to the small rectangles which will form the sides of the poof. So what we're going to do with the small rectangles is just sew the long edges together to form one long chain of all of the small rectangles. And so what I'm going to do first is just organize the rectangles into some sort of order that I like by color. And just like I did with the triangles, I'm just trying to make sure that there aren't too many dark pieces or too many light pieces together, just so that I have a good distribution of the colors, I guess. But it's totally up to you. Just like organize them in whatever kind of order that you think would look best. Okay, so I have all my rectangles sewn into one long chain, and next what I'm going to do is serge the top and the bottom edge of this long chain of rectangles. And now to finish the side of my poof, I just need to sew the 2 short edges of my rectangle chain together with right sides together to form one big loop. And now to finish off the poof, the last thing that we need to do is to pin and sew the top of the poof right sides together with the side of the poof. And then once you've got that done, then you're gonna do the same thing with the bottom piece of the poof. Just make sure that when you pin the bottom onto the side and sew it, that you leave the zipper open, because if you don't leave the zipper open, then you will not be able to turn the poof right sides out. Okay, so my floor poof ottoman thing is pretty much done. So the last thing that I need to do is just stuff it with scraps. And this is definitely not going to use all of my fabric scraps, but I have here a pile that I'm going to start with. So let me move the camera down so that you can see that. So here's the pile of scraps that we're going to be working with. And I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to fit all of those, but let's get started here. So I have here a old laundry bag that we don't use anymore. So I'm going to put that into the poof first so that when we fill it with scraps, they're not just loose in here, so that when we want to wash the cover, we can just take out the bag full of scraps. All right, so that's good enough for me. So now I'm just going to start stuffing it, and we'll see how it goes. This may actually use this whole pile. So I might have to go get my other bin of scraps. I just found a pack of needles in my scrap pile here. Not sure how that got there. All right, I'm gonna go get my other bin of scraps and then finish stuffing this. All right, I'm back with my other bin of scraps, so I'm gonna finish stuffing this thing now. All right, here it is. It looks pretty great, I think. It's really heavy though. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. And I have a feeling that our cat is going to love it, so let's test it out. I think she approves. Or she just wants my microphone cord. Alright guys, here's how the final floor poof turned out. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and we've definitely been using it a lot since I made it. And it uses way more scraps than I thought that it would, so I'm really happy with that. And I might end up actually cutting out another one soon and then just using it as my scrap bin until it's full, and then I'll have another one. So we'll see, I might end up doing that. But I hope that you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.